Megan Todd, and I'm a real estate agent here in Marion. This is Lisa's story. I grew up in a loving home. I was sheltered and naive to abuse until I got into a relationship with him. I was 23 and had recently gotten out of a 4-year relationship. I was not looking to be in another one. He was 3 years behind me in school and had a crush on me since he was 14. After 3 months of dating, I ended up pregnant. I perceived his possessiveness as love. When I broke it off, he tried to make me get an abortion. I thought it was because he was hurt. By the time our son was 2, he had gotten married to someone else that had 2 daughters. He had not seen our son since he was a month old. He said I kept him away. He just never tried to see him. Then we got back together. At first all was fine and we moved in together. It started with angry outbursts. 2 days before Christmas, he came home drunk, slapped me, and held a gun to my head. Of course, he would never do it again. The abuse increased in many different forms. I walked on eggshells every day. He also abused our children. He threatened to kill our sons and my parents if I left him. He kicked me out many times, but I always went back. He always promised he would change. Drugs and alcohol were always present. If I didn't have the money for him, I would be beaten, usually on my head, knots and bruises that are easy to hide. For a while, he whipped me daily with a leather belt. It took months for the bruising to fade. I've been strangled into unconsciousness and have had guns to my head more times than I can count. Our sons have been in and out of jail and prison and have both attempted suicide. He got into a nearly fatal car accident on his way to work one morning. Part of me wanted him to die. Although he pulled through, he had nerve damage to his hand and scarring on his brain. He could no longer work. He became depressed and meaner than he had ever been. He also became addicted to crack. I was on my way to becoming an addict as well. He wouldn't allow me to sleep. We were broke. He beat and raped me almost nightly. I wanted him to be high. He usually didn't beat me if he was. He told me one Friday morning before I left for work that he could see himself killing me that weekend. I knew he meant it. It was time for me to leave for good, regardless of the consequences. I had to take that chance. On my lunch break, I filed a protective order and filed for divorce the next week. He kept trying to contact me, but I never turned him in. Not quite 2 months later, he was found dead in his apartment. He had hung himself. I didn't know how to feel. My husband of 20 plus years was gone, but so was my abuser. I was physically free of him, but my mind was not. I had PTSD and was depressed from the extreme abuse that I had endured for years. I spent 3 years in therapy to rid my mind of the demons that haunted it. Now, nearly 4 years later, I have a relationship with my dad. My mom passed away 11 years ago, and I have friends, something I was never allowed to have. By talking about it, by not being afraid, being brave for people who can't be. When you see someone that you think might be in trouble, don't be afraid to ask them. It's better to be wrong than to not ask. Be brave. And if you are being abused, be brave. Talk to somebody. There are people who want to listen. They want to listen and they want to help, and they're out there, and there's a lot of them.